Hey folks, welcome back to Soil to Sow. If you're growing artichokes or thinking about it, you might be wondering what else you can plant around them to make the most of your space and your soil. Artichokes are big, bold, and beautiful, but they've also got needs. The good news? There are some awesome companion plants that'll boost growth, keep pests in check, and even make your garden look better. Today, I'm going to walk you through 14 of my favorite companion plants for artichokes, from herbs that keep the bugs away to leafy greens that love a little shade. So grab a drink, hit that like button, and let's get into it, because your artichokes deserve good neighbors. All right, plant number 1, Arugula. This little leafy green is a powerhouse when it comes to growing alongside artichokes. Arugula doesn't mind a bit of shade, which makes it perfect for planting around those big artichoke leaves. It grows fast, doesn't compete too much for nutrients, and as a bonus, helps suppress weeds while it's at it. I like to tuck it in around the base of my artichokes early in the season. You'll get a quick harvest of peppery greens before the artichokes really take off. And hey, arugula can also draw in pollinators when it bolts, so don't be too quick to pull it once it flowers. It's a win-win, salad greens for you, and better garden vibes for your artichokes. Asparagus is plant number 2, and honestly, it's a great long-term companion for artichokes. Both are perennials, which means you can plant them once and enjoy the harvest for years. I like to space them out so they're not competing too hard underground, since asparagus sends out those deep roots and artichokes have a more shallow spreading system. The cool part is, they come up at different times of the year. Asparagus pops up early in spring, and by the time artichokes are really doing their thing, asparagus is starting to wind down. It's like a tag team for your garden bed. Plus, once the asparagus ferns out, it can act like a soft barrier from wind without shading out the artichokes too much. Just make sure to give both some room and good compost, and they'll get along just fine. Borage is number 3, and man, this one's a hidden gem in the companion planting world. First off, it's like a magnet for seriously. Plant some borage near your artichokes and just watch the pollinators roll in. That alone helps boost your artichoke blooms. But it gets better. Borage is also known for improving soil health, thanks to its deep taproot that pulls up nutrients and leaves behind good stuff when it breaks down. I usually scatter a few seeds around the edges of my artichoke patch in early spring. The blue flowers look amazing too, so it's got that going for it. And if you're into herbal stuff, the leaves and flowers are edible, just kinda hairy, so go easy on them raw. It's low maintenance, beautiful, and it helps your artichokes thrive. Can't beat that. Cabbage is number 4, and yeah, it can totally work as a companion for artichokes if you plant it right. Cabbage likes rich soil and steady moisture, both of which artichokes appreciate too, so they've got that in common. What I usually do is plant the cabbage on the sunnier side of the artichokes early in the season before those big artichoke leaves start casting shade. That way, the cabbage gets a good head start. Now, keep in mind, both are heavy feeders, so you'll want to enrich the soil and maybe side dress with compost mid-season to keep everyone happy. One cool thing is the artichoke plants can help block wind for the cabbage, which keeps those leaves from getting beat up. Just watch for pests like aphids and cabbage worms. If you've got some borage or nasturtiums nearby, they'll help out with that too. Calendula comes in at number 5, and let me tell ye, it's more than just a pretty face in the garden. These cheerful orange and yellow flowers are awesome for attracting beneficial insects, especially pollinators and those helpful predatory bugs like ladybugs and lacewings. I like to tuck calendula around the borders of my artichoke beds. Doesn't take up much room, and it flowers like crazy. Plus, it helps deter aphids, which can be a real pain for artichokes if they get out of hand. Calendula also has a bit of a trap crop effect, meaning pests will often go for it before your more valuable plants. And hey, bonus points. You can use the petals in homemade salves or even toss them in a salad. It's low effort, super useful, and it just makes the garden look alive. Corn is plant number 6, and while it's not the first one that comes to mind, it can actually work out pretty well with artichokes if you're smart about the layout. Both are tall and need a lot of sun, so spacing is key here. You don't want them fighting for light. I usually plant corn in a separate row, a few feet over from the artichokes, so they're not crowding each other but still close enough to benefit from the shared moisture and soil prep. Corn's shallow roots don't really mess with the artichoke's deeper system, which is a plus. And another nice thing? Corn can act as a windbreak, especially for young artichoke plants that are still getting established. Just keep an eye on the water these two are thirsty, so make sure your soil holds moisture well, or you're out there with the hose every other day. Kale's number 7, and it's one of my go-to greens to plant around artichokes. It's super hardy, doesn't mind partial shade, and actually benefits from the shelter that big artichoke leaves provide, especially during those hotter summer days. I usually nestle a few kale plants around the edges of my artichokes, where they can catch some morning sun and get a bit of that filtered light later on. They both like rich soil, so just be sure to keep the nutrients flowing. Compost, or a little organic fertilizer, does the trick. Kale also helps cover bare soil, which keeps weeds down and holds moisture in, so that's a win. And if pests show up like aphids or cabbage worm shaving, kale nearby makes it easy to keep an eye on things and manage them early. It's low fuss, super productive, and looks great right next to those tall artichoke plants. Onions are number 8, and they're a sneaky good companion for artichokes. They don't take up much space, grow low to the ground, and they help deter pests with their strong scent, kind of like natural bodyguards for your artichokes. I like to plant them in a ring around the artichoke base or tuck them into the gaps between other companions. Since onions have a fairly shallow root system, they won't compete too much with the deeper roots of the artichoke. Plus, they're not super demanding when it comes to nutrients, so they can hang out without stealing the spotlight. Just make sure they still get a bit of sun and decent airflow. You can go with bulbs, scallions, even garlic chives if you're feeling adventurous. It's one of those companion combos that quietly works in the background, and hey, you always need more onions, right? Peas are number 9, and they're a classic early season companion for artichokes. I usually plant them in the cooler part of spring before the artichokes really fill out, and they get along just fine. Peas are awesome because they're nitrogen fixers. They actually help enrich the soil, which your artichokes will appreciate later on. I like to run a short trellis or some sticks for the peas to climb, placed just behind or to the side of the artichokes so they're not shading each other out. Once the peas are done producing, I'll cut the plants at the base and leave the roots in the ground. That way the nitrogen stays right there in the soil. It's kind of a tag team deal. The peas do their thing early, feed the soil, and then step aside just in time for the artichokes to hit their stride. Plus, fresh peas? Always a win. Radishes come in at number 10, and they're one of the easiest companions for artichokes. They grow quick, so you can plant them early and harvest before the artichokes really get going. I like to plant them around the base of the artichokes, where they'll grow fast without crowding out the bigger plants. Radishes also help break up the soil with their roots, making it easier for the artichokes to spread out and grow deep. The great thing is, once you've harvested the radishes, they leave behind a bit of open space and loosened soil for the artichokes to thrive. And if you let them flower, they can actually attract some beneficial insects, which is always a plus. Overall, they're low maintenance, give you a quick harvest, and work quietly in the background, helping out the whole garden. Sunflowers are plant number 11, and they're a great companion for artichokes. These guys love the sun just as much as artichokes do, so they make a perfect pair. I usually plant sunflowers a little further back, so they don't overshadow the artichokes, but still close enough to benefit from the shared space and sunlight. The tall sunflower stalks provide a bit of vertical interest and a windbreak for the artichokes, especially during those gusty days. Plus, they draw in pollinators like bees and butterflies, which boosts the chances of artichokes getting a good pollination. The seeds are a bonus too, and I love having them for snacks or to feed the birds later on. Sunflowers are sturdy, cheerful, and help keep your garden buzzing with life. Tarragon is number 12, and it's a fantastic herb to grow alongside artichokes. It's not a huge plant, but its fragrant leaves pack a punch and help keep pests like aphids away. Definitely a win for your artichokes. I usually plant tarragon around the outer edges of my artichoke bed, where it doesn't compete too much for space but still gets plenty of sun. It's a great herb to have on hand for cooking too, so you're getting double the benefit. The best part is tarragon's deep roots help break up the soil a little, improving drainage and aeration, which is great for artichokes. Plus, it's low maintenance, just needs a little water here and there. and looks pretty enough to make the garden feel more put together. A perfect little herb that quietly does its job and helps out the bigger plants. Thyme is number 13, and it's another one of those under-the-radar companions that really works with artichokes. This herb loves the same sunny, well-drained conditions that artichokes do, so they're a natural fit together. I usually plant thyme around the base of my artichokes, where it acts as a ground cover and helps keep weeds down. It doesn't require much water, which is perfect since artichokes can get thirsty. Thyme won't compete for moisture, and that's a huge plus. Plus, thyme has a strong scent that can repel pests like aphids and cabbage worms, which can be a real headache for artichokes. The best part? It's an evergreen herb, so you'll have fresh thyme for cooking all year long, and it adds a nice touch of greenery under those big artichoke leaves. Yarrow is plant number 14, and let me tell you, it's a powerhouse in the garden. I love planting it near my artichokes because it's tough as nails and can handle dry spells, which is perfect since artichokes like to stay hydrated but don't want to be waterlogged. Yarrow also attracts a ton of beneficial insects, like ladybugs and predatory wasps, which help keep pests in check without you having to do much. I typically put it around the edges of the artichoke bed, and its feathery, fern-like leaves add some nice texture. Another benefit is that yarrow improves soil health by promoting good drainage and preventing erosion. It's super low maintenance, and honestly, it pretty much just does its thing while helping everything else grow. Plus, the flowers are beautiful and can be used in herbal remedies, so it's got some practical uses too. All right, that's it for today's companion plant roundup for artichokes. Hopefully, you've got some new ideas for plants that'll help your artichokes thrive and make your garden even better. Remember, companion planting is all about balance and finding what works for your space. If you like this video, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe for more gardening tips, and drop a comment below if you've got any favorite companions for artichokes. Thanks for watching, and happy gardening.